I'm going to show you how to create an animated advert using HTML and CSS. So this is going to be done using a lot of the CSS commands which we saw in earlier lessons. But first of all, I'm going to create a simple HTML document. So you might remember how to do that. I start by writing doc type HTML to tell the computer that this is an HTML file. And then I write the HTML command. Remember that we need to have a start and an end, and the end always has a slash in front of the name of the command. So I can save this off now. I'll just stick it on my desktop. If I can find that, there we are. Okay, so here's my really simple web page. Now, because I've saved it with .html at the end of the file name, and I'm using Notepad++ here, and you can see that it starts showing colors because it knows that this is HTML. So it's going to give me some help as I write my HTML code. Now I'm going to use the body command to write a page. And let's just put in some text. So I'll write the word hello, and I'll save that. And then I'm going to double click on the HTML file that I saved, and that's going to open it in a browser. So I saved this as test.html. There it is. If I click on that, wait for my browser to open, and there we are. There's my page. Okay, now let's create an advert. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a space for this advert. So to do this, I'm going to use the HTML command called div, D-I-V, and then I want to give my advert an ID. So I do that by writing ID equals, in quotation marks, you have to write a name. So let's call this my ad. This is an HTML command, so I need to do a /div to enter it. Now, if I save that and run it, you see that nothing visibly has changed on the page, but it's created a space where my advert can go. And what we're going to do next is to use CSS to make that into a proper banner advert shape. To make some CSS, I'm going to use the style command. And I want to change the style of my advert. Now, if you want to change the style of something that has an ID, what you can do is write a hashtag and then the name of the ID. So I'm going to put my ad like that, and then do some curly brackets. And this is going to be a leaderboard ad. So if I look at the leaderboard ad, the size for that ad is 728 by 90 pixels. So I'm going to write width 728 px for pixel, height 90 px for pixels, and then I'm going to set a background color. So put background, let's make the background black. Let's not use black, let's use green, and then I'll have a border which is 1 pixel wide, and it's a solid black. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to open it again in my browser. It looks like I shut it down last time. Oh no, there it is. It is open. So if I reload that, you can see now I've got a banner which is the correct size, and it has a green background. So there's nothing actually written in my banner yet, but just using CSS, I was able to set the width and height and the background color of my banner. I think I might make the border a little bit thicker. How about 3 pixels? Let's just see what that looks like. That's a bit stronger, so I think that's better for an advert because I want it to stand out. Okay, now I'm going to put some text inside my advert. So inside the div and the /div, in the middle of that, I'm going to create text title. So you might remember that we can make text using the P command for paragraph, and I'll give this an ID as well. So I'll call this one offer. Now This is also an HTML command, so I'm going to put a /p to end the command. And then in the middle, I'm going to write some text. So I'm going to put only this month, 30% off. Okay, now if I click on save and load that into my browser, we can see that the text at the moment looks very plain. It's just appearing somewhere in the box, but it doesn't have any interesting colors or anything like that. So let's use CSS to change the way that this looks. So just like before, it has an ID. This is called offer. So I write a hashtag and then offer. And the commands I'm going to use to change the way this looks, first of all, I'm going to set the color. Let's make it white. And then I'm going to set the size. So that is font size. Let's make it 30 pixels. And then I'm also going to set the font family. Let's make it cursive. So cursive is like a handwriting font. Okay, so I save that and reload. See what it looks like. There we go. Unfortunately, is that Comic Sans? I don't know. I don't think it is. But anyway, we'll use that for now. Okay, so that's created some text. Now, if you don't like this space at the top, it's easy to fix. What we need to do is set the margin to 0. So there's a margin on the text, and that's why we've got a bit of empty space there. If I set the margin to 0, then the empty space disappears. Okay, so we know how to create text and change the appearance. But now let's think about how to make an animated ad, because our ad at the moment is just static. So to make an animated ad, we need to create some keyframes. And keyframes are basically the parts of the animation where you say what you want the animation to look like. And then the computer is going to gradually move between those keyframes. So it will fill in what the animation should look like at the intermediate times. So to make some keyframes, you write the @ symbol and then you put. And then we need to choose a name for our animation. So I'm going to call this animation Flash. Okay, now in this animation, what I want to do is, first of all, at 0% into the animation, so at the very beginning of the animation, I want the color of my text to be black. And at 100%, so the end of the animation, I want the color of the text to be white. Now I'm going to go down to offer and I'm going to write animation. And I want this animation to last 3 seconds. And it's going to be the animation which I called Flash. Okay, so this is the time you want the animation to last, and this is the name of the animation, so it matches the name there. So now I'll save that and reload. And we can see that now the text starts off black and then it becomes white slowly. If I just reload, you can see it again. Now this animation only plays once. So once the text has become white, it won't go back to black again. Now I want it to go from black to white and then white to black and keep going back and forth between them. And there's a special word you can add here to do that. So what we put is alternate as the type of animation, and this means, I should say alternate rather than alternate. This means that it plays forward and then it plays backwards and then it plays forwards. So if I save that now, you can see that after it reaches white, it should start going back to black. Oh, it's not. Have I done something wrong? No, I haven't done something wrong, but what I did was I forgot that even though it will alternate, it's still only going to play once, so you never actually get to see it playing the second time and going in reverse. So if I want it to play more than once, I can write the number of times, or if I just want it to play forever, I can write infinite. So now I've got 3 seconds, the length of the animation, infinite because I want it to play over and over again, not a fixed number of times, alternate because I want it to go from the beginning to the end, and then I want it to go from the end back to the beginning and just keep bouncing between those two, and then the name of the animation, which is flash. So let's just test that now, and it goes from black to white, and then white to black. Not very fast. So I might want to speed it up a little bit. Let's try changing it from 1 second, sorry, 3 seconds. So I just changed that, reload. Okay, that's a bit faster. Of course, I can make it really fast if I put 0.1 seconds and then run it, and then it's just going to go crazy, right? That's good if you want to annoy your customers. I'll try 0.5. Now, we can animate all sorts of things, not only the color of text. So let's have a look at animating the position of text. So if we look at the text I've got here, I can set a position by writing position absolute. Now, position absolute means that I can specify exactly where I want my text to go. Now, if you want to use position absolute, then please make sure that in your ad, you write position relative. If you don't do that, then the position absolute down here won't work in the way that you expect. Now, after I've written position absolute on something, I can actually say exactly where I want it to appear. So I can say, for example, that I want the top of this text to be 10 pixels down the screen. And then on this one, I can say I want the top of the text to be 50 pixels down from the top of the screen. So when I animate it, it's going to move between 10 pixels and 50 pixels back and forward. Let's reload that. There we go. So that's creating quite an eye-catching effect. Okay, now I can do the same with the left and right coordinates. So if I write left, and let's make that 100 pixels, and then up here I'll do left at 10 pixels. Save that and reload. And now it moves not only up and down, but left and right. I can animate anything I like. So I could write font size. Now maybe the font size could be 10 pixels at the beginning of the animation, and it could be 50 pixels at the end of the animation. And if I save that and reload, now it's getting really large, right? Now, sometimes you might notice that your text is actually going over the edge of the advert, and that looks kind of bad. It's difficult to see there because I've got white text on a white background. But if I change the text color here to red and then reload it, and you can see it more clearly. So the text is actually going outside the advert, and that's a big no-no. So it's easy to fix that. What we do is we go to where we made the advert, and we write overflow hidden. If you have something that goes over the edge of the advert, just hide it. Don't show it going over the edge. And if I reload, now you can see that the text is always kept inside the advert. Now, guys, you can animate all sorts of things. You can also have an image which you animate in your advert, right? So if I wanted to include an image, I could use for example, the image tag, and point it to an image. Now, I actually don't have an image downloaded, so it's difficult for me to do this as an example now because I don't want to go onto the internet to download one, but I could link to an image, and then I could give the image an ID, just like I did before. So let's say I downloaded an image of a ball. I could call it ball. And then I could write here ball, and I could move the image in exactly the same way that I moved this text around. So I could write position absolute and then create an animation for it. Maybe I could call this animation bounce, and then I'd create some keyframes for that animation. Animation was called bounce, so I write keyframes and then bounce. And then just like before, I'd have 0% and maybe set the top and the left position to somewhere. And then a different percentage, 100%, I could set the top and the left position somewhere. Now, all we've done so far is have a frame at the beginning and a frame at the end, but you can also have frames anywhere in between. As an example, I could have a keyframe at 30% of the way through the animation, and that could be, for example, where the top and left values, maybe it's 80 pixels across from the top, but it's still only, oh no, hold on, let's do it the other way around. Let's make that 80 and that 10. Now this is going to follow a different path, because between 0 and 30%, it's going to be moving right, but it's not going to be moving up or down. And then after 30% of the time has elapsed, it's going to start moving left and downwards. So we can see that here. Yeah, you can see it sort of moves to the right first, and then it starts moving downwards. I can make it even stronger if I increase that to a bigger value. You're going to be able to see it even more. There we go. So it's really moving in from the left there. Extreme, just so you can see it really clearly. There we go. That's super strong. Okay. And maybe if I reduce the size there so that it doesn't go off the bottom. Quite eye-catching. Oh, did I save it? Oh, I changed the wrong value, that's why. Reload. A little bit higher. Okay, so I think that looks quite eye-catching. Maybe it's a little bit too eye-catching. So you definitely can create some adverts which will just drive people insane. And we all know how annoying advertising can be on the internet. But there we go. That's not bad. Guys, I hope that helps you understand how to create animated internet advertisement banners. And that's going to be what you're working on today, using those commands we looked at.